Alrighty, Zelensky at the World Economic Forum by the BBC. Well, let's get into it.
Than all of Europe combined. And that's exactly the path of wars Moscow chooses to take. Putin signed the new strategic deal with Iran. He already had a comprehensive treaty with North Korea. Whom do they make such deals against?
Ukraine. Why is North Korea sending soldiers to aid Russia? To curry favor with Russia? And their soldiers probably get better food and more of it serving with the Russians than they do in North Korea. And lastly, they get actual combat experience.
Against you. Against us.
My understanding with the Russian-Ukraine war, at first it was just Russia and Ukraine, and then Ukraine started getting weapons and money from the West, and then Russia started getting weapons and personnel from all their allies. And then you have the Foreign Legion in Ukraine. It's a whole whack of volunteers from all over the world fighting for Ukraine.
Against Europe, against America, we must not forget about it. It's not by chance that are their strategic priorities, and our priorities must match the challenge in politics and in defense and in economy. Such threats can only be counted and only counted together. Even when it comes to army size, Russia can field about 1.3, maybe 1.5 million troops. We've got more than 800,000 in our military. Second after us comes France with over 200,000. Then Germany, Italy, and UK. Everyone else has less.
Maybe it's just me, but he didn't mention Poland. Poland has NATO's third largest military and the alliance's largest in Europe. Newly released figures show the Polish armed forces contain more than 200,000 in personnel, according to NATO's estimates for this year. That is behind only the United States, 1.3 million, and Turkey, 481,000. Damn, and he didn't mention Poland. Poland is followed by France, then Germany, then Italy, then lastly, the UK.
This isn't a situation where one country can secure itself alone. It's about all of us standing together to mean something.
The West is standing together behind you, Ukraine. They're literally using Ukraine as a meat shield to weaken Russia. In my opinion, it's the exact same when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. The US gave the Mujahideen weapons and training to hurt the Soviets. I think they even made a video about it. I think it was starring Nicolas Cage. Oh wait, no, it was Tom Hanks. Nicolas Cage was in Lord of War. For the life of me, I can't think of the name of the video. But anyway.
For now, thankfully, the influence of Iran's regime is weakening. This gives hope for Syria and Lebanon, and they should too become examples of how life can recover after war. And Ukraine is already stepping in to support the new Syria. Our ministers have been to Damascus, and we've launched a food aid program for Syria called Food from Ukraine.
Yeah, sure, helping people is great and all, but the rebels that took over Syria, aren't they heavily influenced by Islamists or jihadists? So, I'd be a little careful about that.
And we are getting our partners involved to invest in these delivers and in building food production facilities. And Europe could totally step in as a security donor for Syria. Time to stop getting headaches from that direction.
The problem with the West giving aid to Syria, again, if their government is influenced by Islamists, that's not really a good idea.
And Europe, together with America, should put pay to the Iranian threat. Next, right now, It's not clear whether Europe will even have a seat at the table when the war against our country ends. And we see how much influence China has on Russia.
And you know who else the Chi-Coms have influence over? The U.S. China surpasses Mexico as the United States' second biggest trade partner after Canada. Yeah, after Canada. That's probably going to change with this economic trade war that's going on or between US and Canada. Strangest thing, when the Soviet Union was around, everybody hated communism, and now the West does so much trade with China, which is communist, it baffles my mind.
And we are deeply grateful to Europe for all the support it's given our country during this war. But will President Trump listen to Europe? Or will he negotiate with Russia and China without Europe?
Honestly, I think he should negotiate without Europe, because as far as I know, Trump's the only one that wants to end the war. Everyone else is perfectly fine keeping it going.
Europe needs to learn how to fully take care of itself so that the world can't afford to ignore it.
Europe used to be able to take care of itself, but for some weird reason, they ceded all that power to the US, and the US became their protector. People in Europe tout their socialized healthcare system over the US. The only reason they can afford this socialized healthcare is because they don't spend as much on their military as they should be. In 2016, Trump's first term, he berated European nations for not spending their pledged 2% of GDP on their military, because some of them, not all, weren't doing that.
It's vital to maintain unity in Europe because the world doesn't care about just Budapest or Brussels. It cares about Europe as a whole. And we need a united European security and defense policy, and all European countries must be willing to spend as much on security as it truly needed, not just as much as they have gotten used to during years of neglect. If it takes 5% of GDP to cover defense, then so be it. 5% it is. And there is no need to play with people's emotions that defense should be compensated at the expense of medicine or pensions or something else. That's really not fair.
A unified European front. Well, the EU was designed to unify Europe, right? And what was NATO for again? He also goes on to say that the European countries should spend 5% of their GDP on their military, even if it means cutting into medicine and pensions. Yeah, I highly doubt that's going to happen.
We have already set up models of cooperation for Ukraine's defense that can make all of Europe stronger. We are building drones together, including some totally unique ones that no one else in the world has. And we are producing artillery together and in Ukraine, and it's much cheaper and faster than in any other country in the world. And investing now in Ukrainian drones production is investing not only in security of Europe, but the ability of Europe to be a security guarantor for other vital regions.
Slight problem there, Zelensky. Europe isn't the world's police. That's the US. So the European leaders, I don't think they'd really care. Said European leaders are probably more worried about all these right-wing parties that are popping up in Europe than securing other areas in the world. Well, anyway, that's it for my thoughts on this World Economic Forum. In my opinion, it seems like a waste of time. That's probably why Trump didn't attend. But anyway, take care out there in Clown World.